The funny thing to me is that these characters take over their theater in the name of launching a Marxist-Leninist revolution somehow via film exhibition,
Right.
because they love movies so much and because they're devoted political radicals. They just see no contradiction. Those things are just the same to them.
Yeah.
And there's something funny about that.
Yeah.
Admirable and that I love, but funny.
I'm Andy from MovieTown. What's your name?
Harvey Schwartz. I'm also in Cinemania.
I heard. I've seen it.
That's right.
I'm going to be honest with you. I lived under a rock, and the rock was a hospital. I'm a cardiologist, and so this is like the liberation of myself. So I'm actually getting to do all the things that I never did.
So were you like a cinephile before, or you're just embracing it now?
Yeah, but I just didn't ever have the time.
Is this your first Reel Politik screening?
This is my first one.
What are you out here seeing tonight?
PUTNEY SWOPE.
Okay, and are you going to stick it? It's a double feature.
Well, we shall see.
We
shall see. We will discuss it in between.
Hello and welcome to MovieTown, the revival cinema scene show. We are here at the Billy Wilder Theater at the Hammer Museum, and I'm joined by Nathan Gelgud, cartoonist of Reel Politik, the cinephilia comic strip of the day. Nathan, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks, Andy.
UCLA Film and Television Archives is doing this series, Seize the Means of Production.
Projection.
Seize the Means of Projection, right. So you started this in 2024. When did this series even start to come together?
I had been talking to my friend Jake Perlin about doing something with him. He runs Film Desk, which is a really great small imprint that does movie books, and he's a film distributor. And we were trying to cook something up, and we were talking about the idea of doing a daily strip and then coming up with different ways to do it and think about it. And then it kind of took on a life of its own, and Jake and I will work together on something else another time, but it just kind of became like my own thing that I did every day. I guess just because I wanted, I'm a cartoonist and I was excited about the challenge of doing a daily strip, and because movies are the thing that live in my mind, and because I sort of was a teenage radical leftist, I thought it would be... there's something inherently funny about those two things mashed up against each other. So as I started doing the strips, I realized that there's a lot of material to mine there when you just take those two things. And the funny thing to me is that these characters who are characters who work in a movie theater and take over their theater in the name of launching a Marxist-Leninist revolution somehow via film exhibition. Because they love movies so much and because they're devoted political radicals, they just see no contradiction. Those things are just the same to them. And there's something funny about that. Admirable and that I love, but funny.
Very. And so how much of it, came from, did you work at a movie theater?
Yeah, I worked at a theater in Raleigh, North Carolina called the Studio 1 and 2, which was like a little theater where it was off it's a college town, off the main drag. You walk down the hall and there's like a bar on the left and our little 2-screen theater on the right. And it was like
when
one
was
of those
that when
things
you were growing up or in college?
I went to school at North Carolina State. And I was kind of mentored by this guy, Joseph Gomez, to whom the book is dedicated, who wrote a book about Peter Watkins. And we're showing Punishment Park as part of the series. And he wrote a book about Ken Russell. And those were kind of his guys. But Joe was the person who sort of set me on the path of taking my love of movies more seriously, and the idea of analysis of movies as a pursuit, a venture worth devoting myself to. And I never really stopped,
And so this series, the Reel Politik series with the UCLA Film and Television Archive, so it's got 7 movies showing. So, it's started with CHINOISE, the Godard film, and then there's 3 double features. So, PUTNEY, SWOPE, and Hi Mom is what we're here for tonight. And then British Sounds and the Third Generation.
The Godard and the Fassbinder, and Punishment Park and Ice, the Robert Kramer movie. and then we conclude with We Can't Go Home Again, the movie that Nicholas Ray made with his students at Binghamton, and Night at the Opera, the Marx Brothers.
Right. Was like the decision for each of those selections that they were featured in the comic strip? Or
a lot of those
Yeah.
movies are name checked in the comics.
Yeah.
Like the movies that Godard was making with Jean-Pierre Gorin, one of them being British Sounds, are a big deal to the characters in this book. They're a
Right.
big deal to me too, but they're a big deal to the characters in this book. And Paul Malcolm, the programmer here, and I just wanted to do a series of movies that were, that would sort of like, the idea is basically like, because this is a comic about movies, I did a book tour, but I didn't do bookstores. I did
Okay.
movie theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done comic book stores too, but the main thrust of it was to go to movie theaters and
Yeah.
show movies. And it's kind of like a trick. Like, you came because you wanted to
Right.
see a Brian De Palma movie, but like now I'm going to try to sell you my book.
Yeah.
But the idea was to just get the comic in front of people who care about movies. It might be the only comic you buy this year.
Yeah.
But I think you'll enjoy it because you're in the same world. You know?
Right.
If you're coming to these movies, you're in the same world as these characters, and you'll get the jokes.
Yeah.
No, wait, everybody will get the jokes. Everybody should buy the book. The jokes are universal.
Yeah.
It's as
But
funny
no,
as
it's
The Simpsons.
definitely very like inside, cinema
It
world
is,
kind of.
But don't you think like it's kind of like the deeper you go with something, the more it becomes more recognizable, because like even if you don't know a bunch of movie obsessives, record collectors,
Right.
or people who are obsessed with comic books.
Yeah. Or you yourself are obsessed with, sports or whatever it is.
Yeah,
like
even
something
that. Yeah,
different.
totally. I do think about that sometimes with sports. Like there's a point at which like politically, if you're not doing anything, which I don't, I do nothing politically active, it's almost like a sports team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a communist, but it's like the same way, like it's like I like the Mets,
Right. And so what are your go-to theaters here?
This is the one I come to all the time.
This one?
Yeah. Because everybody knows me at this one.
Okay. And
I'm
so are
a
you
well-known character here.
Okay. Do you in American Cinematheque too out here? or-
No, I haven't been there.
Why not?
I don't know. It's far away. That's why. Maybe that's why.
Oh, okay. Do you like walk to this one?
No, I take the 6 bus.
What's the best thing you've seen recently here?
Tangerine.
Oh, really?
Hands
Okay.
down.
Had you not seen it
Hands
before?
down. I had not seen
Yeah.
it. And
Right.
theater was filled.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I stood up and yelled, "Brilliant."
Had you done other film-related comic strips before? Or,
Yeah, I mean, I've
or
done a
stuff?
lot of nonfiction stuff. I do stuff for like the New York Times,
Yeah.
where like, in the past couple of years, there were new books about Coppola and a new book about Elaine May. And so my editor there, kind of trusts me. I mean, it's really great, and just says like, yeah, just take the book and figure out what you want to do with it. And typically what I do is use the book as a jumping off point to kind of talk about that filmmaker's career and why it's important to me.
Yeah.
And in the case of somebody like Elaine May, it's like in a certain demographic, she's a genius and just like an all-time great. But doing something for a newspaper kind of gives you the opportunity to like maybe speak to people who aren't, as, don't look at the small group of films that she directed as a
Right.
great little group of films.
Yeah.
Or they even let me do something about Fassbinder,
Yeah.
which was really cool, because I'm sure a lot of people who looked at that, like they didn't, they maybe heard of him or whatever.
Right.
Or maybe it's just a reminder that they want to, learn about him.
Yeah. I didn't know the Fassbinder movie you guys have in this series.
Yeah, that movie it's inspired by like, the Baader Meinhof group.
Okay. And that's the third generation?
Yeah, the radical terrorists who were taking, doing wild stuff in Germany in the 70s. And Fassbinder, there's actually a strip about this. I don't know if it's in the book. It might come a little later because the book collects the first few months of strips. But the characters talk about how they want to foment a movement that's so radical and so present in the culture that you can't not make a movie about it. And that's sort of, I think, what Fassbinder was doing with Third Generation. I think he's not one of them,
Right.
and like, of course, I think that even like when he presented the movie at a festival, he ended up, saying like all leftists are idiots,
Yeah.
But the idea being that like maybe it takes a little bit of idiocy to be a radical, or
Yeah.
at least naivete,
Yeah.
or at least like numbskullness,
And so like your connection to like the characters in Reel Politik and these movies, you really kind of associate that with this time, like when you were in college and working at that theater and like discovering like the Godard Gorin movies, or is it
the
something
Godard
later?
Gorin movies I just kind of got into recently.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
Godard's been like this huge thing to me. I mean, of course, like everybody, the new wave movies when you're in your like late teens, early 20s are just the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But then you dig a little deeper and you see that he's doing a lot of like things where he's, it's not just cool. He's like deconstructing what a movie is and analyzing what a movie is, which he did throughout his career. And so like, but I kind of skipped the Gorin stuff because, well, A, it was inaccessible for a long time.
Yeah.
And B, because it's dismissed and considered like impenetrable.
Yeah.
But then they've become much more available over
well,
the
the
past few
Jane
years.
Fonda one,
Tout va bien.
that one's always kind of been around and probably the most
That's kind of
well-known
thought of
one,
as
right?
the one that's like, I think even when they made that one, it was like, Godard's back. He made
Yeah.
a real movie again.
Yeah. But then he even wasn't satisfied with that. He had to then go make another movie about
Letter to
his
Jane.
thoughts. Yeah, his thoughts on like just confusion of that movie almost having like a good reception.
Well, that's what he was doing throughout his whole career,
Yeah.
though, and that's what makes him so impressive. Is that, I mean, it's a lot of things make him impressive, but he was always rejecting what he did.
Yeah.
He was always, because he was genuinely investigating what a movie is and what a movie can be and why a movie should exist. And so those movies that he was making with Gorin, those political movies, are thought of as these polemical movies, but really when you dig into them, they're queries.
Yeah.
They're like open-ended questions about how does one make a political movie and how does one do it politically, which is, a distinction that they got really interested in. Like,
Yeah.
how do you make a movie politically, not just how do you make a political movie or something like that. I'm sure they had a more poetical or engaging phrase.
This is part of a triple feature for me today. In the middle, I went to see a Chantal Ackerman film at the Egyptian.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't come out here as much because I live over kind of on the east side.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I did think of a couple things I saw recently. I saw MS-45.
Oh, okay. Is
the
that
Los-
Abel Ferrara? Who's
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that, and I saw
How was that?
that was very good.
Yeah.
That was very good. I saw that. I saw In the Mood for Love.
Oh, nice.
Did I see anything else recently? I know I saw something. Oh, well, that was something else. I saw Frankenstein, but that wasn't new.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't old.
I know Paul Malcolm is the programmer of the series. Like, how did you work with him to like put the double features and pick the 7 movies that are
Yeah,
together?
I mean, we just kind of went back and forth about like,
Yeah.
I mean, luckily Paul like really liked the comic. Me and Drawn and Quarterly, my publisher, got in touch with him. They had done a thing with Drawn and Quarterly in the past for their book about, double check me, but Giant Robot, I think, and like a series of Japanese movies. And so they had already done this but once before where they did a series of movies. And I mean, man, it's so generous that they wanted to do this. It's so awesome. And Paul just got the book, he
Right.
he understands it. And so when I gave him a list of movies, it was just I don't want to say easy, but it was just like there wasn't a lot of pulling teeth. And Paul did a lot of the figuring out like the pairings, which are really nice. Like tonight is PUTNEY, SWOPE, and Hi Mom, which will just, that'll be, they're both of these movies I showed when I was on the road for my tour. I showed PUTNEY, SWOPE a few times and Hi Mom once. And both of those times, like on the tour was the first time I had seen those movies in like 20 years.
I've never seen Hi Mom. I like kind of know of it.
Are you gonna watch it tonight?
I'm hoping to see it. But PUTNEY, SWOPE, certainly seen a number of times.
Yeah.
And so that I can see how that fits really well with the comic.
Those movies remind me like how rare it is that a movie is like funny.
Yeah.
Like really funny. I remember like Arnaud de Plesson talked about this. I think when he made, I think it was Kings and Queen. He talked about how he had been going to movies with people who would say like, "Oh, this movie's really funny," and he'd go in and be like, "I understand that there was humor in the movie, but it wasn't funny."
Yeah.
And he talked about parts of Kings and Queen are like he almost wanted it to be like a Jerry Lewis movie or something.
Yeah.
um,
Well, what do you think about, the instinct with the comic strip of this like political leaning revolutionary group, but it's very much a satire and kind of comedy,
yeah,
and like goes over the top both with there's a duck working in the theater and a kernel
that's
of
just kind
popcorn.
of like being a cartoonist. You get to have you just get to have an animal be a character.
Yeah.
It's like fine.
And like, but what do you like? Do you think that's just your own tastes of liking the comic bent or treatment of like revolutionaries, or do you think it's is it inherent for you in like the life of this kind of revolutionary?
I think it's just because I'm a cartoonist and
Yeah.
because I wanted to do a daily strip that felt like a newspaper strip.
Yeah.
Now, of course, even when we all read comics in newspapers, you weren't going to read a 6-panel strip every day about Marxist-Leninists who took over a movie theater. However, I sort of pretended to myself that this was like a newspaper strip.
Yeah.
So if you look, like there's no profanity, you know what I mean? There's like,
Yeah.
I kind of try to play by the rules of a newspaper strip. And I mean, I think it's funnier to not, when you give yourself those confines, it's funnier anyway to
Yeah.
not have them be like cursing or being lewd or.
Yeah. I didn't think about that or miss that at all.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't, I think
You don't
that-
need it.
Yeah.
You just don't need it. It's funnier when you don't use it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of made a rule for myself that for X amount of time, for as long as I could, I would do it every day. And that it had to be, even if it wasn't funny, you had to be able to tell it was supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Like you could identify that was supposed to be a punchline.
Yeah. What was
Maybe it didn't
like?
work.
What was like the daily comic strip you remember like growing up with that you feel like you?
Oh, that's a
like,
good
the
question.
The first one you'd go to on the comics page.
It's funny that you asked that because like I remember just like I just love comics. I just
Yeah.
love like when I just see a page of comics, whether it's like comic strips or just like if someone's in a restaurant or on the subway or something and I just see them with I see a page full of panels. I'm just like, what is that? I want to see that. What is
Yeah.
that? And I don't really remember like honestly, like I mean I would read The Far Side, but that's a
Right.
completely different thing. That's one
Right.
panel, you
Yeah.
know. But since then I've got, like I'll read like Peanuts collections, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
really fun. And Nancy is
I
just,
remember
like,
when
my
I got the
favorite.
first volume of that years ago when it came out, and it was
Oh, when
like, just-
Fantagraphics started putting out the like
Yeah,
every day. Yeah.
well, they put out like the volumes of this year to this year.
That's what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
the daily strip.
And you could read it
I love
in
it.
order.
So
It was
I
incredible.
love reading a daily strip
Oh,
that
yeah.
way because you can really see what the cartoonist is doing
Yeah.
in a way that you don't with a curated collection. Like,
Yeah.
you can find collections of strips like Nancy's strips, and Nancy's like I think the best. But you can find collections that are sort of like thematically grouped or best of or something like that. But there's something that's so rewarding and fun about watching them like this day, then this day, then this day, and like, oh, he kept Charlie Brown in this one. They're in this one spot for 5 days. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's just got them in the same. They're doing the same thing for 5 days. They're playing this one baseball game for 5 days, and then like all of a sudden we're not there anymore, or to watch him like that it's just different every day.
Yeah.
And it's so impressive. Is not even the word. It's just like I can't believe he never really. And Bushmiller with Nancy is the same way. Never really went on like narrative arcs. There's never a thing where it's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I do that in my strip because I can't
Right.
resist it.
Yeah.
I end up like, okay, they're gonna go off to do this thing, and then
Right.
they'll
And
come,
then yeah.
they'll come back, and then I can go back to like a gag, or and then they'll go off and do a thing. But I don't know. When you read it in a daily collection like that, you really see like how they're thinking.
Yeah.
I think, and that's why I was so happy that Drawn and Quarterly wanted to do it just like a straight.
Yeah.
They just published it like they just did. It's just the daily strip for
Right.
the first few months, and that's what this book is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I even like seeing the dates, as you go.
That was
like,
thank you, because that was big to me. I really
really?
wanted the
Yeah,
dates
I
on
like
there.
that. Yeah. And Yeah, I mean, it makes me think too of like it's probably the like story element I would tell first, both because I like for this show did an episode about the mobile Criterion Closet and like went out at like 4 a.m. to it when it came to LA earlier this year, and went in the closet and did the whole thing. But yes, you know, the characters commandeer the mobile Criterion Closet in your strip.
Yeah, they hijack it.
Yeah. And had you gone to like one of those mobile Criterion
No!
things?
I share the character's suspicion of the Criterion Closet.
Yeah. It gets you to go, and then you have to buy the discs. I did.
Do they sell them? Is it?
You get like I think
my worst suspicions have been confirmed.
I think you get I think it was like a 50% discount, which, you know, they do all the time throughout the year. They have these sales.
Right.
Like,
It's a Barnes and Noble truck.
Right. Yeah. So, but I mean, the whole draw is that you get to go and be around the movies and record the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked doing it, I have to admit, but yeah, there's like certainly a commercial, like you feel like I probably bought more Criterion discs since doing that, you know, because now I have this attachment to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, very smart marketing.
Yeah.
But and I'm wondering,
good trick.
Like, are you still like do you go to the movies a lot?
Well, that's another funny thing to me about this strip is that my life in my like 20s and early 30s was just movies. I lived in New York, and that's what I did.
And were you going to a lot of the revival repertory
Mostly,
stuff?
I mean, that's what I saw lots of new stuff too.
Yeah.
But like that stuff.
What were your theaters then?
Well, when I moved there in 2002, MoMA was closed for a long renovation, but they operated their movie program out of this little theater called the Gramercy Theater in the I want to say it was on 23rd Street.
Okay.
And they did great programming there, and also it was just weird. And I worked at a video store that was like 3 blocks away called Video Stop on 3rd Avenue. And so me and all my friends that's where we were going. And they did the complete Nicholas Ray.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just like a huge deal.
Is that where you first saw We Can't Go Home Again?
You know, I think they must have showed it, but I think the way I saw that, there was this professor named Eugene Stavis who lived in Waterside Towers, I think they were called. And he had this big 16mm collection just in his apartment.
Yeah.
And he would let us come over and just like pick a movie and watch it, like sit on his floor and scattered around on his couches and chairs and stuff like that.
And the projector would be right behind you. You'd hear
it's
it
just
going.
right there.
Yeah.
Eugene was just running it, you know? And, he would change, take the reel off and we'd talk for a minute. And then he'd put the next reel on. And, those were like really amazing experiences.
Yeah, no, I love that feeling of like discovering, like I think for me it was, there's like a Sam Peckinpah series that American Cinematheque did that I saw like in the mid 2000s. That was like just this really, it was a big deal to me to like see most of those screenings.
And it's just, it hit us at the exact right time in our life. And of course, Nick Ray is big to me and probably a lot of the other people who were there, like, because like Godard was, obsessed with Nicholas Ray, and I mean Truffaut also. But
what movies do you remember like striking you the most in that?
There's one called Wind Across the Everglades, which is this really great weird movie that I won't try to just go look it up. I won't try to summarize the plot. Burl Ives is in it. It's got the line "Sing me a sweet sad song about kissing and killing." Which is just terrific. But I mean, all of them, I mean, they're just those movies are magical. In a Lonely Place, of course, is great. I remember being really struck by On Dangerous Ground, its sense of place, like it's really at home in the city, and then it moves out to like the country, if I remember correctly, and it's very at home in both areas, you know. Just masterful in that way. And then it's fun. It's almost like we're talking about with the Daily Strip. When you really stick with a complete retrospective, you also see that there's stuff that just like leaves you really cold.
Yeah.
Like Flying Leathernecks was just like, that was just very obligatory 2 hours.
Yeah.
And We Can't Go Home Again was revelatory too, because he had kind of been he was kind of losing his mind. Bitter Victory was another one that just like that's another amazing movie that I really recommend, like reading the chapter. I think the biography is by a guy named Bernard Eisenschitz. I'm getting his name wrong probably, but you can find it. It's one of those favorite books.
Okay.
And a couple of us were like reading the biography while going to the movies.
Yeah.
And if you read about the making of Bitter Victory, and then watch it or kind of do those things simultaneously, it's a really, those two things really inform each other in a really kind of just moving way.
Yeah. Are you going to stick around for Hi Mom?
What? Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I
It's a
wasn't
Brian
going
De
to, but
Palma
if you tell
movie.
me.
I mean, I
Brian
actually
De
haven't
Palma is
seen it.
very
It's an
famous.
early.
Maybe I should.
It's one of his early movies with Robert De Niro. It's one of Robert De Niro's early.
Oh, then I've got. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you came up because
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know,
Oh, yeah, you
about
might like
skipping
it.
it.
I think.
I love De Niro.
And it's got a similar
and
thing
I don't
where,
know that much about De
Yeah.
Palma, but I should. I mean, did you see Analyze This with Robert
De Niro?
De Niro?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's another one. Cry, you know, tears just rolling down your
Yeah.
face. It was so funny.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, but on the other hand, I loved Heat as
Oh, yeah.
well.
So when did you move back or move to LA?
I moved here about 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've had kids since, and so to kind of answer your question, my life has just changed completely.
Yeah.
And I don't get to go to the movies all the time, and I don't. I mean, Los Angeles has a good movie-going culture. It's not quite the same. In New York, you could go to see retrospective programming or repertory programming during the day on a weekday,
Right.
which is a little harder here, which is a very granular thing to talk about as far as like movie going goes. But when you have kids, that makes a big difference because
Right.
they're in
could go.
school.
Right.
I need a movie that's on while they're in school. So, but anyway, like one of the things that I think that I hope that helps me with the humor in the book, because I'm out here.
Yeah.
I'm not in the trenches of it.
Right.
So it's easier to just kind of have a like sort of like it's easier to make fun of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like Letterboxd or something like that, which I like to make fun of a lot.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that thing from like 10 miles away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not in there.
Yeah.
It's just an abstract kind of thing to me. And so it's easier to make fun of. Like it's easier to just feel like it must be silly.
Yeah.
You know? So I can just kind of see it in sort of a you know, like a caricatured way or
Right.
a satirical way, the same way that I see like, you know, the Criterion Closet or something like that.
Yeah. And so do you feel like are you still watching a lot at home, or you kind
I
of?
do my best. You know what I've
Yeah.
been doing a lot lately is I go to Videotheque
Yeah.
and I'll
I
rent
love
something.
Videotheque.
Yeah, me too. And I'll rent something, so at least I will watch that.
Yeah, no, I love having it back in my life, like both Vidiots and Videotheque.
Yeah.
I'm close enough where, you know, I've usually got something from one of those places out.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And I've gotten into these, you know, Radiance DVDs. These guys, Radiance.
I've seen the label. Yeah. What's their special?
I just use them as like my recommendation
Okay.
now. I just go
What
in and
was the
like
last
Videotheque
one?
has like the newest
Yeah.
Radiance releases up, and I just like I'll just get one of those, and it's a way to go into a movie cold, you
Yeah.
know, because I'm just kind of like trust it.
Did they do the Night of the Juggler one? Was that the?
I know what you mean, but I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
They did a box set of this guy Jean-Pierre Macchi, who made it's 3 movies, all of which are worth watching, but especially I think it's called. I keep on wanting to call it The Referee Must Die, but I think it's called Kill the Referee. Maybe I'm getting mixed up with the Chabrol movie, This Man Must Die. But that and this movie, I don't know how to say it.
Is it a soccer movie?
Yeah,
From
sort of.
where?
France.
Okay.
And it's about these maniac fans who they blame the referee for the loss of their team, so they're just like, we're gonna find this guy.
And is it
And the whole movie is just them like
yeah.
chasing this guy. And he made another movie called Litan. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Litan, which is
What
just
period were these? Do you know?
I'm gonna get it wrong, but I want to say late 70s, early 80s. But those movies, like, they really just hit me out of nowhere. I was just like, what are these movies?
Yeah.
Those are terrific. Radiance did another one called Man on the Roof, the Swedish movie. It's just like a cop movie about a sniper on a roof. They did this movie called Viva la Muerte, this Araball movie, which is really terrific. Anyway, big long advertisement for ratings here, but like it's just a way of saying like, I mean, it's a rarefied thing to get to go to a video store.
Right.
So I know that this recommendation only suits like a very small segment
Yeah.
of the population, but like if you can, it's just a way to go in and like, you know, and you'll get to a point where you're like, you know, I'm not saying anything new here, but a clerk will kind of know what you like, and then you can get to, you know, you can get to grab stuff. And it's just, and again, this is not an insight in any way, but it's just it's a way to shake yourself out of like trying to pick something from, even if you're on like, you know, you're not searching the garbage heap that is Netflix. Like if you're going through Canopy or Criterion or whatever, I can find it hard to stick with stuff, you know? So I watched a movie that I didn't particularly love the other day, but like it was called, I want to say it was called The Investigator, which was, it was another Radiance movie. And I wouldn't have stuck with it.
Yeah, no, there's something about the act of going and getting the rental from someplace and bringing it back that, yeah, I will not turn off one of these movies.
Yeah, I got to watch it and bring it back and say hello. And it's also a reminder that like, if you're getting through movies that way, that you might have otherwise turned off to look for something else in the infinite selection of what's online, you forget maybe that like a movie doesn't have to be like amazing from front to back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you stick with it, you find like there's this one scene in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that becomes the important thing that you watched like that month, you know? And everything that came before it and everything that came after it kind of falls into a haze. But like there's a scene in that movie, The Investigator, with like where Romy Schneider is the wife of the suspect, and there's just this weird scene in a room with her that just really hit me. You know? And I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it there if I hadn't rented it.
Yeah. And so were there any like movies that either you guys couldn't weren't able to, you know, get the prints or work out being able to show?
I wanted to show Tout Va Bien because that movie is huge to me. La Chinoise is as well, but I really wanted to show that just because it's about the takeover of a factory. And Reel Politik is about the takeover of a movie theater, so it's like duh. But
so that was your first instinct, because La Chinoise is more like a cell, like, you know, plotting something,
which is still totally
relevant. It's
it's still totally this part of the book.
Yeah.
And I actually have taken things directly from La Chinoise that are in the book. Yeah,
like what?
Well, there's repeated scenes in La Chinoise of them having like classes.
Yeah.
In the apartment. And I was watching that while I was working on the comic, and I was like, oh yeah, I can just have them, if I want to just have them say something didactic or something. I don't need to like they just do classes, you know what I mean, for each other. Stuff like that, you know, that was helpful.
And that's an interesting thing, you know, because I did see kind of this period of Godard movies at a specific point, like in film school, like back to back to back.
Yeah.
And I mean, the one like sort of common refrain I think you hear is didactic for like a lot of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you find like when you're revisiting them now for the series, do they still have that sense, or do you think they're they've morphed into like more of like kind of satire comedy for you?
I mean, those movies that people call the political period or whatever, they were called the Ziegler Vertov group that he made with Goard and others. Lots of them are funny.
Yeah.
And they're funny they're funny because they're funny.
Right.
And then some of them are just fascinating, and some of them, the one that I think it's called like A Film Like Any Other, which is essentially just like people sitting around talking about, you know, like revolutionary strategy, and maybe you never see their faces, if I recall correctly. Like, if you care about that stuff, it's genuinely fascinating.
Yeah.
And then you're watching him watch them, and you're watching him and Goard figure out how to present this, and how do we make a movie about this. And you're watching all these things happen. And I don't understand why these movies were so, especially like at the time when they were coming out, when all this stuff was like in the air.
Right.
I don't understand why people were more interested in it.
Yeah.
And I thought when I was getting into them a few years ago, and I was thinking about making a comic about them or something, I was like, am I imagining, like, maybe I don't want to be like, I don't want to set up a straw man where it's like I'm acting like history got it wrong, when in fact, like, if you go back, like, oh, there was actually like a layered response to these. I really don't think there was.
Yeah.
Definitely
No,
not
I
in the
don't know
US.
how widely seen they were or not.
And they're still pretty. I mean, like the two big English language biographies of Godard are both really dismissive of the movies.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I'm genuinely perplexed by it, because if you admire him, especially anything beyond the New Wave movies, you're fully prepared to have to do some work as a viewer. It's not like you're surprised to have to do some labor, or to have to maybe have some background, or maybe just watch something that you're just don't know what to do with. You know? So I just it's strange to me. Well, we're gonna fix that, because we're gonna show British sounds.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about it at every opportunity on this tour.
Well, yeah. I mean, Punishment Park is one that I've known the title of for a long time, and didn't know either Peter Watkins' name. But then I saw I don't know if you go to Whammy in Silver Lake ever, they're showing his final film called La Commune, Paris, 1871. They're showing that this month.
Yeah.
And so it was just sort of like, oh wow, these two movies, kind of back to back a little bit, something in the air.
He's another guy, a filmmaker, who when you go to him, you're just like, why are we not talking about these movies all the time? I mean, what I realized, and one of the cool things about doing this comic and showing movies in relation to the release of the book and just being online with it, is that there are a lot of people who care a lot about Peter Watkins, and like I can write a punchline that's about Peter Watkins and just not really worry about whether people will get it or not, because there are a few people who get it. And then if you don't know who Peter Watkins is, you'll still sort of recognize. That's the fun thing about
like what the name is supposed to mean,
what it represents, right?
Like
that's the cool thing about the structure of a gag strip, is that it has a built-in familiarity. So like anybody who's reading the comic strip almost has like a you don't have to decode it.
Right.
So like I think you can go pretty far afield with your subject matter if you're doing this thing where you're staying inside this framework of like a very sort of strict framework of, a gag strip, which is mine are usually 6 panels, which of course is more than what a newspaper strip usually is. But
I'm interested, when you were putting the compilation together and going back, like was there anything when you looked back over the year that struck you as, oh wow, this really, like, I really like did that well, or like that's my favorite part?
This is great. I'm my own favorite cartoonist.
Yeah. But is there any section that you're like, oh, I nailed that one?
That's funny. I can't think of an example, but I can say that I think I have had the experience of being like, oh, that was pretty good. That's a good strip.
For sure.
And then another thing that I've talked about a little bit lately with people is, this is related to what you're asking, is that, well, the thing about doing a daily strip is you can't be precious about it.
Yeah.
It was like the best joke I could come up with that night.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like I told,
you have a deadline when it's got to go up. Right.
I'm either going to break my streak, or I'm going to post a comic that's like, I don't think this is a very funny strip, guys. Or like, it's 1 a.m, the hand on that character looks insane, but I'm going to bed. I'm not fixing it. And a couple things you realize is that, like, when you let go of any preciousness about the thing that you're making, you'll make more of it and you'll get better at it, and it's more fun. And the other thing you realize, or that I realized, is that if you just like walk away from something that you're working on that you think is like not working at all, like whether it's a drawing that you really think you're going to have to redo, or a joke that you think is like, this is such a dumb joke, you realize later, like, even if it's not great, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, You have to
Yeah.
give yourself the opportunity to just like walk away from it and come back and be like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can live with that. And the fun thing about doing it every day and posting them every day was like that I had to do that in public.
Yeah. And so are you still, have you kept going?
I
with
still
it?
I still do them. I don't do them every day
Right.
anymore just because I was like
A lot.
losing my mind.
But do you foresee like doing it, you know, into the coming years, or do you kind of
I
have a
want
stopping
to.
point?
I really like these
Yeah.
characters, and it's another fun thing about. I recommend that everybody do a daily strip because, or just have a comic strip that you do, even if you can't draw or think you can't draw, because it's so fun just having any idea I get. Like I have an immediate repository
Yeah.
for it. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
very fun.
I don't have to. I don't even have to jot it down anymore. I'm just like
Yeah.
I just know where to put it. You know. And that's a really
Yeah,
fun.
there's one I wanted to ask you about that really struck me, you know, or maybe, you know, that got me of like, oh, this is like what the comic strip is or something.
Oh, I want to know.
And there was this one, January 26th, 2025, and it's, you know, 6 panels, and the first 5 are one of the characters that you can
January
recognize.
26, 2025. What? No, I'm just kidding.
Is the character's like in silhouette, and then you're just
Okay.
you're seeing, am I a cinephile or a revolutionary? Is it possible to be both? Are they compatible? Have I conflated movie obsession with revolution out of convenient self-interest? Or is this self-doubt actually an internalized reactionary point of view? We can make movies like Godard and Goard during the revolution and like Varda after, right? Or is this commitment to cinema a distraction from my commitment to the struggle? And then the final panel is the employee is just like staring into the butter as it like overflows in the
She's just
popcorn.
staring into space while the
But
butter's
it
pouring. The
just felt-
customer's behind
It just
her.
felt like, I guess maybe the way I think of my own thoughts on movies sometime of like, am I going too far into this? Like, have I gone too far? Like, have I lost sight
Yeah.
of this? Like, when is it, too far, or seen,
Why do I
like, have
care
I
about
lost
this so
myself
much?
in this?
Right,
Yes, I've
right,
spent so
right.
much of my time on this fantasy,
Right.
you know, and like, I get,
What is the result of having seen every Nicolas Ray
Right.
movie? What,
Yeah.
Why is that the
Sometimes I
trophy?
think that, and
Yeah.
like, I think I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop
It's
doing
who
it.
you, because
I'm
it's
not going
part
to
of who
stop.
you are,
Yeah.
you know.
But-
It's
but
part
it-
of,
but
like,
it-
what brings you.
But that
makes you
self-examination
get
is
up.
kind of always there for me.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's funny that you brought that one up specifically after what I was just saying, because that strip was exactly what I was just
Yeah.
talking about, where I was just kind of like thinking like, what? I don't know. Does this even make any sense? Like,
Yeah.
These characters, like, how far can I go with this? And then I caught myself trying to come to a conclusion. I was like, no, don't come to a conclusion.
right, yeah, no.
Come to a punchline.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, thanks so much for coming out,
Yeah,
talking
thank you.
about the series, and definitely recommend, you know, the compilation of Reel Politik to everybody. And yeah, very excited that you're going to keep doing it for a bit.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thanks
All right.
so much for coming
Thanks,
on.
Andy.
Yeah.